Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to look at some air rifles and why they can be useful for survival planning or your preparedness plans. But before we start, if you're interested in detective stories, there will be a link in the description to my first book called Bloody Crosses. It's in Dutch, so if you're interested, take a look. Alright, today I have to get rid of a whole load of gaming CDs that don't work anymore. I think you can see them, they're about ye. There you can see it, and we're going to use them as penetration tests for the next topic, which are air rifles, because here in Belgium they are very strict with gun laws, and air rifles are the next best thing to it, or crossbows, which is going to be another video. But I want to talk about the different kind of air rifles that you can have and in what situations they are best. So these are my air rifles, and we're going to start first with the small one. This is just a break open spring air rifle, and it is 4.5 millimeters, which is very small. But this thing I would advise to put in your bug out bag, because first of all, yeah, it's not going to be handy against self-defense. I know it is very small caliber. Many people will know that it is a small air rifle with no power, less power actually. But the thing is, it's more to do for hunting. If you are on a bug out scenario and you want to get some, you want to get some small game like birds, perhaps rabbits, perhaps rats, squirrels, whatever. If you can shoot it, you can hunt it. And we're talking about rather small game, like rabbit is a very questionable thing with this, but something like a bird you can easily take down with this. And the reason why is this is 500 pellets of 4.5 millimeters. So these are 500 shots that you can do with one of these. Yeah, these are very short ranged and they are not the most accurate thing, but it is handy and lightweight enough to put in your bug out bag. Another thing that you need to take in account is if you are on an evacuation or a bug out, especially here in Belgium, like I said, gun laws are very strict, and during a time of emergencies, they will be even more stricter. So I would say there will be less legal issues if you get caught at a checkpoint or by a police patrol or whatever. Perhaps they think you're trespassing, or perhaps you're being perceived as a robber with something like this, than a real gun. Yeah, so let's test this one out first to see the penetration test. I'm going to have to get closer with this because this is not that accurate, but if you shoot in something like a flock of birds, or you're going to be in a camouflaged ambush position at a place where small game arrives, then this is a quite adequate thing to have in your bug bag, and it is very light. It is almost only the spring and the barrel are made out of metal. The rest is just plastic. So let's see about it. So that's not even worth to take in. How do you say this? It's almost just a dent, a scratch. But to be honest, this is a very old thing. The spring is already, how do you say this? A little bit too much compressed. I think this thing must be like 12 years old, I think. So yeah, perhaps if I put a new spring inside of it, it will work better. But if you got something new like this, I would say it is worth it. And yeah, flesh is softer than a hard disk. But to be honest, I want to mention one more thing. If many people will say, why don't you take one of those pump, how do you say this, where you have to pump it up for the PSI, or you would take CO2 patterns? Well, the problem with those things is I don't really like things that are complicated, because if it's complicated, it is harder to maintain, and it is more, they're more prone to breaking if there are more sensitive parts. I had CO2 guns in my past, and there is always a part that didn't work, and you had to take the whole thing down and get to find where the problem is and to put a new part inside of it. That is just a break. Perhaps show it. It is just a break open gun with a spring like this. You put your pellet here and you just fire, and yeah, that's just it. Nothing difficult about it. And yeah, perhaps it didn't show in this video how powerful it is, because like I said, it's an old gun, but for small game it's worth it to get one of these, perhaps the one with most power. I did not have a choice. I got this from as a gift from my father that he had in his shed for like 12 years or something. So yeah, don't mind if it's not powerful enough, but it's a good idea, a concept. Alright, let's go to the next one. That is just one of those here in Belgium, perhaps it's called, in English it's called a fair rifle. You know, it at the fairs or the carnivals where you have to shoot targets for a prize. That is from my grandfather, and this thing is bloody hell old. I think it's from the 80s, so this thing must be like 45 years old, and it kind of works, but the spring is totally compressed. You cannot even shoot through carton with this. As you can see, the sides have been broken several times, so my grandfather had no better idea than to put a vise inside of it. So yeah, and the inside, to be honest, if you can see, they're all rusted up, but yeah, it can still fire. But the reason why I show this and conclude this in this video is not because you can use it for self-defense or target practicing, but you can use this as an insect repellent. What do I mean by that? Well, you know these kind of guns that they use, that they fill up with salt to use at a moving target like a fly, or if you want to smack a fly, or another type of insect, but the moment you get close, they are so fast that they fly away. With this, you can just fill this up with a pinch of salt, close it up, aim, perhaps while they are flying, and you can shoot it. I made a video about this, how to, as an insect repellent, and the beauty is it's not powerful enough to put damage, and the only thing you leave as a mess is a little bit of salt in your house. So you cannot break anything, even if you hit a person with it, except if it's come close in the eye. There is not really a danger from it. Perhaps you can send your little children at fly hunting as a task, for example. But yeah, even if you have a rifle of this that is totally decompressed and you would think that is useless, there is always a use for it, and that is the reason why I showed this in the video, because yeah, it's my grandfather's rifle, and I wanted to have a use for it instead of throwing it away or just keeping it at the fireplace. But yeah, as a insect repellent is a good option. Perhaps stupid, but it works. Right. Next one I would say is, let's go to this one. This is an air rifle. Yet again, this is a break open rifle. Yet again, because I don't trust pump and CO2 for the maintenance. And what I like about this rifle is it's a 4.5 millimeter, and as you can see, I'll show you like this. This has two types of ammo that I have. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it. So these are 4.5 millimeter pellets, Diablos, and you can see this one is more like for penetration. So this one is more for accurate shooting at targets. Perhaps it's a good rifle for targets practicing to take out small game. But the problem is, this is good for accuracy and small game. But this one, as you can see, has like a cross in top of it. Why do I have this one? Because if I shoot this rifle against pests, it's usually against rats. And I don't only have small mice, but I have also big woelratten, as they call, like big rats of this big. And the problem is, whenever I shot it with this rifle, and I used for accuracy a penetration one, it went through the rat with little internal damage, and it could run away, and it would avoid that place, and I would have to find another way, because rats are very smart. Perhaps I will make a video about it. And that's the reason why I had to use this one, because this one, you will hit the rat, and it will start to shatter in the rat, inside the rat, and it will hit with shrapnel multiple organs, and you have more chance that it will bleed out or have an insta kill with this. So depending on your target, do you want accuracy or do you want more damage? You have to look inside of it, but like I said, you have to use the right ammo for the right target, I would say. What I also like about this rifle is instead of having to have a pouch, this one has an internal how do you say this, magazine, where you can keep the bullets stored. There are a few problems with this. If you're going to use this for hunting outside, like if you're going into not the wilderness, but in the natural habitats of a small game, it can start to rattle. So that's already a little bit annoying perhaps, but yeah, I like it to have it close with me if it's just for shooting rats. Another thing that you need to know about this, how do you say this, is you can modify it. So this this looks like an AR-15, but yeah, for the trained eye you can see that it is an air rifle. But for somebody who is in a panic, stress, like a burglar, or perhaps an aggressor who doesn't have much experience with guns, if you have a burglar, a trespasser, and you come with this, they will see it as a real rifle instead of an air rifle. So there's a psychological how to say it, deterrent involved. So that's one good thing. It can be modified. You can have fixed sights on top of it. I put one of those smaller sights on top of it for more accuracy, but there is also, if this is not sighted, I can just take this off by hands, and I can just use this as my how do you say this, for aiming. And this could be handy for close or perhaps for long distance target practicing or shooting targets or pest control. So that's already a good thing. You can also put a lamp on top of it in case you have to do some self-defense at night. You can hang something on, so you can put it on your back. So that is all very good, very handy. It's very durable. You can shoot 200 meters with this thing. This is yeah, this is a real air rifle where there's a lot of pressure behind it. So let's use this to shoot at the target and see the penetration of this one. And I also want to tell you, I painted this myself in Flakthorn kind of colors. Yeah, it's not really Flakthorn, but I used the same coloring as Flakthorn, but it looks more like that American one, but those have different colors, because this is more universal to use in how do you say this, in Belgium. So So this is the penetration test, and you can see it went through I think 3, 4, 5, like 5 CDs, and yeah, perhaps this doesn't look that much of a, how do you say this, of a accomplishment, but these are 5 CDs that are taped very close in together, so there's no space inside of it. So yeah, and yeah, it can go all the way in, it can shatter a little bit inside, but it is still strong enough to penetrate skin or small things like rats or a big rat of this. So yeah, for all the people who say an air rifle is not effective, but if somebody is pointing something like this at you, doesn't matter which distance, you don't want to get hit by this, and especially not during a shit hit the fan situation where there is no medical professional help, even if you get shot and it's not a killing shot, you might get an infection from it, and you don't want that. So yeah, for all the people who say air rifles are not that effective, you don't want to be shot by this by any distance. So yeah, let me put the target first back. By the way, I also noticed that it's a little bit at a slope, so that's also a factor in why it didn't penetrate it that deep. So yeah. So it is actually a very good rifle, in my air rifle, in my opinion. 4.5 millimeters is the caliber. Depending on what caliber you use, can have different implications for the target. But yeah, in my opinion, something durable, something easy to maintain, will not break that easily, which is very important, and it's simple in use. Even a child can use this. So let's. And it is an air rifle, but this one, the other one is with a spring brake. So that means there is, if you cock it to the back, a spring will get back, and when you release it, the spring will create the air. In this air rifle this is a 6.35 millimeter air rifle. This has a gas piston, so that means if you, by the way, it's already loaded. By the way, if you break it open, there is a gas piston inside of it that will compress air, and the moment you release the trigger, all that compressed air will be released. So there is less, how do you say this? Less chance that your rifle will wobble internally for the, how do you say this? When the spring is released. So this is another different system, and yeah, this is a little bit more of an expensive rifle. This, I would say, I don't know the price anymore, but this one is for the half cheaper than this rifle. So air rifles you have in all calibers and how to say this, shapes, sizes, and price ranges. And that is also a reason why an air rifle can be very handy, because a real gun can cost money, and here in Belgium, if you have to pay taxes, renew the permits, this kind of stuff, yeah, that's a year. Ammo is also really expensive here. I mean, I'm talking about gunpowder ammo. Yeah, then a real rifle can be expensive in the long term, but this is just a one-time buy, and with something like this, you have like 500 pellets, and you can shoot them cheap for a very long time. So, what is good about this rifle? I will show you the calibers. Just for reference. Just for reference, this was the 4.5 millimeter pellet, and this is the 6.35. This is a whole other kind of unit that you can shoot with. But we also get the slug. So this is just pure lead almost, and it is the same effect as the dum-dum pellet that I showed you next. So this is 6.35 millimeters, and this is 4.5. You can see a big difference in sizes. So in if you talk about self-defense, this is, if you don't want a real gun permit, this is the closest to a legal gun that you can buy here in Belgium, at least. But yeah, there are also other kind of types of guns, that's air rifles that shoot with more power, but those are with pump system and CO2, and it is just, like I said, for maintenance, and is just a brake system with a gas piston inside of it. But it is a bigger caliber, and this can be used for bigger targets. We're talking about bigger birds, perhaps. What's the biggest? Like hare. How do you say this? The bigger rabbits. Hares is the English term, I think. Yeah, those really big rabbits that I see around here. Not deer, of course not, but yeah, there is not really that much between here in Belgium. But for a big rabbit, this is a very good rifle, or a big bird. So, and for self-defense, like I said. And yeah, let's see at this target how it will hold up. And that is, by the way, a penetration pellet that is inside of it. So we have oh, let's see. We went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went through 7 CDs with this one, but in contrary to the other one that went sideways, this one went straight inside of it, and we have the penetration. And yeah, this doesn't look like much. I don't think I have the wood anymore, but usually I can shoot through 50 millimeters of plywood through it. But see, these are more softer targets than the wood that I used. So make your own opinion about it. But I can assure you, you don't want to get shot by these ones. And another thing that I like about this is it's a good training rifle. If you if you're going to eventually buy a real rifle or you're in the process of it, these kind of rifles will help you get used to aiming, your positions for shooting, gun safety. So that is very handy to learn that. You can also do this with blank pistols perhaps, but yeah, that is the next best thing to learn how to get accustomed to weapons, and also to your kids. If you want to learn your kids how to use a rifle safely, yeah, you're going to let them train with something like this first, then before using a real gun where they cannot do where they cannot do as much damage as with this. Yeah, where they cannot do much damage, unlike this is perhaps a better word. So yeah, this was just my take on air rifles that you can use in your survival preparedness, bug out, or your homestead, or your bug-in plan, whatever you're going to use for it. There is always place for an air rifle for different kind of situations, legal reasons, budgets, financially, and what are you going to hit. Because, like I said, I use this mostly for small game hunting or pest control, and perhaps for self-defense. I always have this in my room as at first, in case there is somebody in your house that is going for a late night snack and you confuse them with a burglar. Yeah, you don't want to shoot them directly dead. You want to scare them away perhaps. That's also a good thing, also for the legal issues perhaps. But yeah, you know the drift, you know what I'm getting to with all of this. And yeah, get a rifle that fits with you, and get a rifle that is durable, easy to maintain, easy to handle, is effective, is accurate. Yeah, you don't have to have the most accurate rifle, because let's be honest, if you're going to use an air rifle, you're not going to here in Belgium at least, we don't usually have properties that are more than 200 meters long with open range like in America. Here you usually have gardens like this, and the mostly you will shoot at something or someone will be within 30 meters, perhaps tops, usually. Further away is a little bit more too risky. And another thing that you have to take into account if you're going to take one of these rifles, these are usually one shot, unless you get one of those very expensive ones that you can ratchet semi-automatically. But these are usually a one shot. So for self-defense, you have to either have it from psychological warfare, or you have to take one shot, one hit, and have a backup like a knife or something at least. So that's something that you also need to take into account. Uh, that is very how do you say this? Something that you need to think about. But always have an air rifle in your house and your preparedness plan, I would say. So if you have something to say that I have not mentioned, or perhaps you got other ideas that you can use air rifles for, perhaps taking out wasp nest, perhaps there is perhaps a technique that I don't know about. or some other survival use that you can use in a homestead setting like I have, please let me know in the comments. Always eager to learn new things, and like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you in the next video. Cheers.